Hello, my name is Brandon Chinsky.
And I'm Alexis Swingendorf.
Our project is Aerobic Fitness Positively Impacts Executive Function in Young Adults. So although evidence has demonstrated the relationship between aerobic fitness and executive function in children and older adults, such a relationship is far less studied in young adults. This study aimed to examine the relationship between aerobic fitness and the three domains of executive function: working memory, inhibitory control, and cognitive flexibility. We hypothesized that increase in aerobic fitness will result in better performance on executive function tasks. Executive function is controlled mental processes that are important to mental and physical health, success in school and life, and cognitive, social, societal, and psychological development. Working memory is the ability to maintain and manipulate information in the mind. Inhibitory control is defined as the ability to focus on relative information while inhibiting prepotent responses. And cognitive flexibility is the ability to switch between rules, such as multitasking. So such examples of cognitive functions are listed below. Inhibitory control helps you stay quiet when you want to say something, pay attention, as well as driving, while working memory is used in the classroom, in conversation, while taking tests and studying. And lastly, cognitive flexibility helps with multitasking, changing habits, finding new approaches to solving problems. Physical activity and aerobic fitness. Physical activity are levels that are self-reported by the participant. It is a report of training status. It is also how often you engage in movement, as well as a measure of energy expenditure in a given time period. While aerobic fitness is measured through a VO2 max test, it is a biomarker for metabolism and a degree of fatigue. It is also how well your body can consume oxygen as well as release CO2. And lastly, it is a measure of energy and expenditure in an acute maximal exercise period.
This particular study was part of a larger study concerning the associations of exercise and memory in young adults. 103 young adults aged between 18 and 30 years with an average age of 22.6 years completed the study, 65 of whom were female. They completed a health questionnaire in which they self-reported their physical activity, the average being a high level of total physical activity. Each participant completed a maximum oxygen consumption task referred to as a VO2 max test, which is designed to utilize graded exercise to determine aerobic fitness. A VO2 max test is standardized against demographic factors to create a percentile score. On average, participants in this study were found to be around the 41st percentile. Each participant completed a series of tasks targeting a specific domain of executive function. To target young adults' working memory, N-back tasks were performed with N equaling 1, 2, and 3. N-back tests utilize shapes and require a participant to remember a shape 1, 2, or 3 shapes previous and determine if the current shape is the same. The order in which a participant performed the tasks was randomly assigned. The task parameters are listed in the table below. For all the practices, the parameters were the same as the full version, but the number of trials was different. For the N-back task, the practice was 20 trials. The number of trials refers to how many trials were presented in the full version of each task. The intertrial interval, or the ITI, refers to the amount of time between presentation of stimuli, or the black screen between each of the stimuli. Jittered refers to the fact that the ITI was set at either of the 3 options for trial, equal, probable, and randomly, to prevent subjects from getting in a rhythm and anticipating when stimuli will appear. And stimulus presentation length refers to how long the actual stimulus was on the screen each time. To target young adults' inhibitory control, a flanker arrow task was completed requiring the participant to identify which direction the center arrow in a series of 5 was pointing. In a congruent series, the middle arrow would be facing the same way as the other arrows, and in incongruent trials, the middle arrow points in the opposite direction. Participants were instructed to focus on accuracy or speed during select tasks and were randomly assigned to the accuracy speed order. The task parameters are listed in the table below. To target young adults' cognitive flexibility, participants were given 2 different homogeneous tasks and a heterogeneous task. A homogeneous task introduced a single rule for the participant to remember, either determining whether the number was less than or greater than 5, or if the number was odd or even. Participants were randomly assigned to perform either the odd, even, or less than, greater than task first. Once the participant had completed the homogeneous tasks, they were then instructed to complete the heterogeneous task, which combined both of the rules. They were instructed to follow the less than greater than rule when the number presented was in a solid box, and the odd even rule when the number presented was in a dashed box. The task parameters are listed below.
The first scatter plot, entitled One Back Response Time, compares the task response time, or the time it takes a participant to respond to a test, with the VO2 max percentile, a measure of aerobic fitness. Response time is negatively correlated with VO2 max percentile during the one back task, meaning that as aerobic fitness increases, the participant responds to the stimulus faster. The second graph, entitled Two Back Response Accuracy, compares response accuracy, or percent correct, with the VO2 max percentile. There was a positive correlation, meaning as aerobic fitness increases, the percent correct on the 2 back task also increases. The remaining scatter plot compares the response accuracy, local cost, in a heterogeneous task with the VO2 max percentile. Local cost is the difference in score between the accuracy of the non-switching and switching conditions during the heterogeneous task, reflecting the cost on cognitive flexibility. There is a negative correlation between local cost and VO2 max percentile, meaning that as VO2 max percentile increases, the local cost decreases. Due to the variations in age, sex, and total physical activity in each of the participants, these demographic factors were controlled for when determining the correlation between VO2 max percentile and performance on these tasks. The results of this study suggest that increased aerobic fitness is related to improved executive function performance in young adults. Given that an increase in aerobic fitness was associated with improved response time in one back task and response accuracy in the 2 back tasks, it can be inferred that aerobic fitness is beneficial for working memory. The 3 back task performance showed no significant associations with aerobic fitness, likely because the demand on working memory may have been too high. Increased aerobic fitness benefits cognitive flexibility in young adults, as shown by the associated decrease in local cost. There were no significant associations demonstrated for the flanker tasks, and may reflect that inhibitory control in young adults may be insensitive to aerobic fitness. It can be inferred that aerobic fitness is beneficial for executive function in young adults, particularly in the domains of working memory and cognitive flexibility. While results show benefits for aerobic fitness in young adults, there are limitations. Given that this study was part of a larger study, it did not include measures of psychological mechanisms related to positive associations between aerobic fitness and executive function via neuroimaging techniques. While underlying mechanisms are not entirely understood through the methodology of this particular study, the data nonetheless supports that aerobic fitness shows positive effects on executive function in young adults. Aerobic fitness is beneficial for executive function in young adults, particularly in the domains of working memory and cognitive flexibility.
We would like to thank Dr. Alvin Cow for mentoring us in this project and letting us work from the ground up. We would like to thank Christian Nagy and Nicholas Baumgartner for their help with this project and our lab. We would like to thank the other undergraduate members of the Physical Activity and Neurocognitive Health Laboratory for their contributions to this project through data collection. Finally, we would like to thank the Office of Undergraduate Research in Health and Human Sciences for allowing us to present this research and share our findings.